DJ ARKULEN. System lights on. Clean bass prepared. No crowd, no noise. Only sound in the air. First kick lands tight and low. Bassline warming with the steady flow. Clean synth rising, drums stay clear. Low end pressure drawing near. Let the mix breathe, let the bass align. Every hit controlled, every wave in time. No festival sound, no crowd effect. Just pure bass in the clean set. Clean bass, deep control. Low end power starts to roll. Sharp kick, smooth vibration. Live sound system in rotation. Dun, dun, dun. Bass, clean. Low, 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 deep, wide. Performance, sound stays focused, bass stays tight. Clean rhythm moving through the night. Every layer has its bass, no extra noise inside the place. Not just loud, not just bright. Deep bass working clean and right. Pressure grows but never breaks. Smooth low motion through the waves. Six stays solid, tone stays wide. Clean bass performance moves inside. Hold the groove, keep it pure. Low end signal strong and sure. No crowd, no applause, only bass. Without a pause. Clean bass, beat control. Low end power starts to roll. Sharp kick, smooth vibration. Live sound system in rotation. Dun, 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 dun. Bass. Wide pressure. Smooth space. Sound system. Low motion. Bass performance. Pure devotion. Kick, bass. Sound turns lower, bass still breathes. Clean vibration underneath. Every speaker finds the tone. Deep sound moving on its own. One last rise, one last wave. Let the low end fill the space. Kick gets stronger, bass stays clean. Pure performance in the scene. Clean bass. Deep and wide. Low and rhythm moves inside. Smooth vibration. Bass sensation. Sound system power. In rotation. Signal fades slowly. Bass remains. Clean sound closing. Low rhythm stays. White screen flashes. The kick cuts clean. Low sound enters like a controlled machine. right. Low and motion locks in tight. Let the bass align, let the pressure grow. Every hit balance down below. No crowd sound, no room noise, just pure rhythm and bass voice. Studio bass, deep and clean. Low and power in the scene. Sharp kick, smooth drive, clean sound system comes alive. Sound power in the scene. Clean bass, deep and wide. Low end rhythm moves inside. Smooth vibration, bass sensation. Studio power in rotation. Signal fades slowly. Bass remains. Clean sound closing. Low rhythm stays. White screen flashes. White screen flashes. The kick cuts clean. Low sound enters like a control machine. Tap tight, rhythm starts. Bass line goes low. Clean energy moving with a steady flow. Senses stay sharp. Drums stay bright. Low and motion locks in tight. Let the bass align.
A blue line scans. The screen turns white. One clean kick drops, and the bass takes flight. Digital pulse sharp and low. Bassline moving in a steady flow. Clean drums hit, no noise around. Low end power shapes the sound. Let it lock, let it slide. Deep pressure moves inside. No crowd, no stage, just clean bass on the wave.
Digital bass.
Deep and clean, low in motion, in the scene.
Sharp attack,
Smooth vibration, pure sound power.
in rotation.
Pulse, kick, bass, clean, low, wide, move. Every layer cut so clear. Bassline pulling atmosphere. No live echo, no outside tone. Just deep rhythm on its own. Kick stays focused, pressure tight. Clean sound moving through the night. Energy climbs, bass go slow. Low end signal starts to glow. Synths stay smooth, drums stay bright. Clean performance locked in tight. Hold the line, keep it pure. Deep bass power, strong and sure. No applause, no reaction, only sound and clean action.
Digital bass.
Deep and clean,
Low and motion.
in the scene.
Sharp attacks,
Smooth vibration, pure sound power.
in rotation.
Clean kick, deep bass. Wide pressure. Smooth space.
Direct sound,
Low motion.
pure rhythm.
Bass devotion. Kick, bass. Sound gets lighter, bass stays low. Clean waves moving nice and slow. Every speaker finds the tone. Deep sound working on its own. One last spark. One last rise. Low in power. Opens wide. Kick gets stronger. Bass stays clean. Pure digital sound. In the scene. Clean bass, deep control. Low in rhythm starts to roll.
Smooth vibration.
Bass sensation.
Digital power. In rotation.
Signal fades slowly.
Bass remains.
Clean sound closing.
Low rhythm stays. A red meter jumps. The screen draws a line. One tight drum hits. Bass bass locks into time.
Clean pulse running, sharp and low. Deep bass turning with a steady glow. Synth line cuts, kick stays clear. Low end motion, pulling near.
Let it tighten, let it flow. Pressure moving down below. No crowd, no room, just clean bass in the groove. Low and drive, deep and tight.
Clean sound pushing through the night.
Sharp kick lands, bass reacts,
Smooth pressure,
bringing it back.
dry.
Kick bass.
Tight, clean, low.
Push. Every hit measured, every tone placed. Baseline moving with clean space. No outside echo, no noisy layer. Just pure rhythm in the air. Drums stay focused, pressure grows. Deep sound follows where it goes. Energy rising, bass stay smooth. Clean kick holding every groove. Sense move rider, tone stays wide. Low end power moves inside.
Hold the motion, keep it straight. Bass response starts to shake.
No live noise, no fake sound. Only pressure rolling down. Low end drive, deep and tight.
Clean sound pushing through the night.
Sharp kick lands, bass reacts,
Smooth pressure,
bringing it back.
clean hit, deep roll,
Wide bass,
full control.
direct sound.
Tight motion, low pressure, clean devotion. Motion, 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 motion.
Kick,
Kick, bass,
sound pulls back, bass still stays.
low waves moving through the haze. One clean pulse hits, bass wakes the night. Voltage moving, sharp and low, deep bass running with the steady flow. Kicks stay solid, senses stay clear. Low end current, draw in near. Let it charge, let it breathe. Clean pressure underneath. No crowd, no air, just pure sound everywhere. Voltage bass, deep and clean. Low end power in the scene. Sharp kick strikes, bass reacts. Smooth sound, bringing it back.
Pulse.
Kick, bass, clean, deep, wide, charge. Every layer cuts the space, baseline moving in its place. No outside echo, no random tone, just clean rhythm on its own. Pressure rises, sound stays tight, deep vibration through the night. Brights and climbing, kick still clean, low and power in between. Bass gets wider, rhythm grows clean, sound pushing down below. Hold the charge, keep it pure, deep bass motion strong and sure. No loud noise, no reaction, only rhythm and clean action. Voltage bass, deep and clean. Low end power in the scene. Sharp kick strikes, bass reacts. Smooth sound, bringing it back. Clean hit, deep roll, wide bass, full control. Direct pulse, low motion, smooth pressure. Bass devotion. Kick, kick, bass. Sound pulls thin, bass stays low. Clean waves moving nice and slow. Every system finds the tone. Deep sound working on its own. One last charge, one last rise. Low end power, opening wide. Kick gets stronger, bass stays clean. Voltage rhythm in the scene, clean. Voltage deep control. Low end rhythm starts to roll. Smooth vibration, bass sensation. Pure sound power in rotation. Signal fades slowly. Bass remains. Clean sound, closing. Low rhythm stays. Silver grid wakes, a cold line shines. One dry kick hits, bass enters the design. glows. A thin line bends. One dry kick snaps, and the low field extends. Magnetic rhythm, tight and low. Bassline pulling with a steady flow. Synth edge cuts, drums stay clear. Low end force drawing near. Let it pull, let it lock. Deep pressure hits the block. No crowd, no stage, just clean sound in the wave. Magnetic bass, deep and tight. Low end force cuts the night. Clean kick strikes, pressure reacts. Smooth control, bringing it back. Pull, kick, bass. Clean, deep, tight. Lock, 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 lock. Every layer holds its place. Bassline moving through clean space. No live echo, no outside tone, just pure rhythm on its own. Sound stays focused, pressure bends. Deep vibration never ends. Energy rising, signal bright. Clean bass pulling through the night. Kick gets firm, tone stays wide. Low end motion moves inside. Hold the feel, keep it pure. Bass response, strong and sure. No reaction, no room sound. Only pressure rolling down, 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 down. Magnetic bass, deep and tight. Low end force cuts the night. Clean kick strikes, pressure reacts. Smooth control, bringing it back. Clean pulse, deep bass, tight pressure, wide space, direct sound, low motion, magnetic rhythm, bass devotion. Sound pulls back, bass stays near. Clean low movement, crystal clear. Every speaker finds the tone. Deep sound working on its own. One last pull, one last rise. Low end power, opening wide. Kick gets stronger, bass stays clean. Magnetic drive in the scene. Control bass, deep and wide. Low end rhythm moves inside. Smooth vibration, bass sensation. Pure sound force in rotation. Meter fades slowly. Bass remains clean sound closing. Low pressure stays.
White static flashes. Black screen splits. A clean drum hits. Then the bass ignites. lights. Static pulse running tight and low. Deep, deep bass moving with a steady flow. Track dry, synth cuts, kick stays bright. Low end reactor lights the night. Let it charge, let it turn. Deep pressure starts to burn. Only clean sound, only bass. Low waves moving through the stage. Reactor bass,
Deep and clean
low end power.
in the scene.
Sharp kick lands,
Pressure glides,
smooth bass motion.
moves inside. Static. Kick. Bass. Clean. Deep.
Wide, react.
Every pulse hits right on time. Baseline follows a clean design. No outside layer, no random tone. Pure rhythm moving on its own. Sound stays focused, pressure grows. Deep low energy down below.
Signal rising, kick stays tight.
Clean bass glowing through the night.
Synths to stay narrow, drums stay clear.
Low in motion drawing near.
Hold the charge,
Keep it direct,
bass response.
in effect.
Clean rhythm,
Deep reaction,
low end power.
in pure action.
Reactor bass,
Deep and clean,
low end power.
in the scene.
Sharp kick lands,
Pressure glides,
smooth bass motion.
moves inside. Clean hit,
Deep bass,
static pulse,
wide pass,
direct sound,
low motion.
bass reactor.
Pure devotion.
Kick, 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 kick.
Bass, signal narrows, bass stays low.
Clean waves turning nice and slow.
Every speaker finds a line.
Deep sound moving in clean time.
One last spark. One last wave.
Let the low end
Fill the space.
kick gets stronger.
Bass stays pure.
Reactor pressure.
Locked and sure. Static bass.
Deep control.
Low end rhythm.
Starts to roll.
Smooth vibration.
Bass sensation.
Pure sound drive.
In rotation. Static. Fades. Slowly.
Bass remains.
Clean sound closing.
Low rhythm stays.
Tighten screen close. A silver line shakes. One clean hit lands. Then the low flow last line, one last rise. Deep sound open and clean and wide. Kick gets stronger, bass stays pure. Tight and pressure, locked and sure. Flow bass, deep control. Low end rhythm starts to roll. Smooth vibration, bass sensation, pure sound power in rotation. Silver line fading, bass remains. Clean sound closing, low pressure stays. A square light turns, blue lines begin. One dry kick lands, then the pulse drops in. Grid rhythm moving, clean and low. Bassline running with a steady glow. Sharps and flickers, drums stay tight. Low end power cuts the night. Let it sink, let it breathe. Deep pressure underneath. No crowd, no room, just clean bass. In the loop, pulse grid, deep and clean. Low end motion in the scene. Tight kick hits, bass reacts. Smooth control, bringing it back. Grid, kick bass, clean, low, sync. Every signal falls in line, bassline moving right on time. No outside echo, no live air, only clean rhythm everywhere. Sound stays focused, pressure glows, deep bass running down below. Energy rising, tone stays clear, low end current pulling near. Kick gets firmer, synths stay bright, clean sound locking through the night. Hold the pulse, keep it direct, bass response in effect. No reaction, no hard sound, only pressure rolling down. Pulse grid, deep and clean. Low end motion in the scene. Tight kick hits, bass reacts. Smooth control, bringing it back. Clean hit, deep roll. Grid pulse, full control. Direct sound, low motion, bass signal, pure devotion. Bass, bass. Sound pulls back, bass stays low. Clean wave shifting, nice and slow. Every speaker finds the line. Deep sound moving in clean time.
One last pulse, one last rise. soft kick lands, then the low wave opens. Open, 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 open. Through the soul, flow, kick, bass, wide, warm, clean. Waves turning underneath, no crowd, no echo, only pure sound in the stereo. Signal bass, deep and clear, smooth sound moving, atmosphere, wide vibration, clean sensation, low and flow, in rotation, circle fades slowly, bass still flows. Deep signal glows. A pale line appears, dark fades from the screen. One low drum answers, then the sound turns clean.
silence, let it breathe. Soft bass moving underneath. No crowd noise, no outside tone, only clean rhythm on its own. The pulse comes slowly, the space feels wide. Deep waves turning from inside. Every layer softly grows. Low end color starts to show. Not too heavy, not too bright, just clean pressure in the night. Kick stays gentle, bass stays low. Fire movement starts to flow. Now the rhythm opens step by step. Deep sound rising with every breath. Sense spools move wider, tone stays clear. Low end power draw in the air. Clean horizon, bass runs deep. Smooth vibration starts to speak. Wide sound, strong control. Low end rhythm fills the soul. Horizon, kick, bass, smooth, deep, clean flow. No copied hook, no borrowed line. Every sound lands in its time. Bassline gliding, soft but strong. Clean waves pulling all along. Speaker motion, warm and wide. Low sound moving side to side. Deep bass, clean drive. Final sound comes alive. Low pressure, wide sensation, pure rhythm in rotation. Let it fall back, let it stay. Bass keeps breathing far away. No fake echo, no live space, only clean sound in its place. One last signal, one last glow. Let the low end rise slow. Kick gets warmer, bass gets wide. Final pressure moves inside. Clean bass, deep and bright. Low waves closing through the night. Smooth impact, wide creation. Final sound in rotation. The line fades gently. Bass still remains. Clean mix closing.